Let me tell you something that might just shift your whole perspective. Pain is not a sign that you're broken. It's a sign that something is being built. And I know when life starts falling apart, when people leave you, when the doors you prayed would open stay shut, it's easy to believe something's wrong with you, that you're broken, that somehow you're less than. But you're not broken. You are being built by God. See, the mistake most people make is thinking that discomfort means disqualification. They think that if they were really chosen, if they were really blessed, if they were really loved by God, then everything would be smooth. No bumps, no betrayals, no battles. But that's not how it works. God doesn't build something strong in you. He's got to test it. If he's going to make you unshakable, he's got to shake everything around you to prove that your foundation is him, not them, not that job, not your plan. You're not being destroyed, you're being developed. God is not trying to break your spirit. He's breaking the shell that's been keeping you small. He's chiseling away at everything that doesn't belong in your future. That pain, that pressure, that's the process. You've been praying for strength, and God is answering, just not in the way you expected, because strength doesn't come from hearing pretty words. Strength comes from surviving what should have crushed you. Have you ever seen a blacksmith work with metal? It starts with fire, intense heat. The metal has to be softened before it can be shaped. And when it's red hot, when it's almost unrecognizable, that's when the hammer comes down. Strike after strike, hit after hit, and from the outside it looks violent, it looks painful, but that's not destruction, that's design. The hammer isn't there to hurt the metal, the hammer is there to shape it. And I came to tell somebody today, you're in the fire, because God is softening what's been hardened in you. He's getting you ready for what he's about to those hits you've been taking, they're not proof you're failing, they're proof you're being formed. That heartbreak, it wasn't random. He revealed what you were leaning on. That setback, it wasn't to punish you, it was to reroute you. God is strategic with every strike. Nothing is wasted. But if you don't understand the process, you'll start rebuking what's actually refining you. You'll pray for God to take away the very thing he's using to build you. And here's a part we don't like to talk about. Sometimes it's not the devil. Sometimes it's God allowing the storm because he knows there's strength in you that's never going to show up until the winds start blowing. You won't know what you're made of until the comfort is stripped away. You won't know who's really with you until the crowd disappears. And sometimes God has to take you through a season of silence so you stop depending on applause and start depending on him. Stop interpreting your pain as punishment. It's preparation. And if you're in a season right now where it feels like everything is falling apart, I want you to pause and ask yourself, what if this is what being built feels like? What if the loneliness is teaching you to stand with God before you try to stand with people? What if the rejection is protecting you from a place you don't belong anymore? What if this pressure is not crushing you? It's compressing the coal into a diamond. You've been saying, God, why is this happening to me? But what if it's happening for you? What if he's stretching you because the blessing he's about to drop on your life requires a version of you that doesn't exist yet? You've got to be strong enough to carry what you prayed for. That takes process. That takes pressure. I know it hurts. I know it doesn't make sense right now. I know the tears are real and the nights are long. But I also know that God never starts building what he doesn't intend to finish. You are not abandoned, you are not forgotten, and you are most definitely not broken. You are becoming. If you could see what God is doing behind the scenes, you'd stop complaining and start thanking him in advance. You'd stop cursing the fire and start praising through the flames. Because the same fire that feels like it's going to consume you is the fire that's going to refine you. You're not fragile, you're forged. You're not falling apart. You're falling into place. So hold on, wipe your tears, take a breath, and don't give up. God's not done. He's still building. You're not broken. You're being built. Let me talk to the person who's been waiting on the promise, waiting on the breakthrough, waiting on the answer. You've done everything right. You've prayed, you've fasted, you've stayed faithful, but the door still hasn't opened. The healing still hasn't come. The relationship didn't work out, and now you're sitting in silence, wondered if God heard you at all. I came to tell you, delay is not denial. Just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it's not going to happen. It means God is still preparing you and preparing it for the right time. See, we live in a world that's obsessed with speed. We want instant gratification. We want everything now. But God doesn't operate on our schedule. He's not bound by our clock. He sees the beginning and the end, and he knows what you don't know. He knows that if he gives it to you too soon, it might destroy you. He knows that what looks like a delay is actually his divine protection. Sometimes God withholds the blessing because the foundation isn't ready. You want the building to rise, but the ground beneath it hasn't been strengthened yet. He knows what the weight of your calling requires, and he won't let you step into something that will crush you. So instead of rushing you, he roots you. Instead of promoting you quickly, he prepares you thoroughly. Don't mistake God's silence for his absence. He's not ignoring you. He's investing in you. You're looking around, watching other people rise, watching doors open for them, watching people who didn't work as hard as you walk into the thing you've been praying for. And it's tempting to ask, why them, God? Why not me? But what you don't see is the full picture. You don't know what's on the other side of that door. You don't know if they were ready for it or if it's going to break them. You don't know what God had to protect you from in the delay. You might feel stuck, but you're not stuck. You're being stationed. God is setting the stage for a moment that will make sense in hindsight. What looks like a setback is a setup. What feels like a detour is the main road in disguise. Just because it's taking longer doesn't mean it's being denied. It means it's being designed with intention. And let me tell you something else. Sometimes it's not the blessing that's not ready. You're not ready, and that's not an insult. That's grace. Because if he lets you have it before you were healed, you'd use it to fill a void it was never meant to fill. If he gave you the platform before you had character, the spotlight would expose your cracks. If he gave you the relationship before you loved yourself, you'd use them to fix a broken mirror only you can repair. That's why the delay is necessary. God is not punishing you. He's preparing you. And don't think that waiting means wasting. No. Every day you stay faithful in the delay is a day you get stronger. Every time you trust him when you don't understand, your roots grow deeper. Every moment you keep walking when you feel like quitting, something inside you matures. You may not see the fruit yet, but that doesn't mean the seed isn't working. It's working underground, in the dark, in silence. That's where real growth happens. You've got to stop measuring your progress by what you can see. Just because nothing's happening on the surface doesn't mean God isn't moving. He's the kind of God that works in silence. He does some of his best work behind closed doors. And by the time he brings you into the room, everything will already be in place. But here's the key. You've got to stay ready. You can't wait passively. You got to wait with expectation, with preparation. You don't wait for the opportunity and then start getting ready. You stay ready so when it comes, you don't miss it. Keep sharpening your skills. Keep healing your heart. Keep building your faith, because when the time is right, no one can stop what God is about to release. And you'll look back and thank God for the delay. You'll realize he didn't forget you. He was building something greater than you even prayed for. You were asking for a door, he was building you a house. You were asking for a job, he was crafting your purpose. You were asking for a person, he was shaping your identity. That's what he does. He exceeds, he multiplies, he prepares. So don't panic in the pause. Don't curse the quiet. Don't abandon the process because it's taking longer than you thought. God has not denied you. He's developing you. He's orchestrating something so precise, so specific that when it happens, you know it had to be him. You've been asking God when, and God's saying, when you're ready, not when you're comfortable, not when you're perfect, when you're ready. Ready in faith, ready in strength, ready in character, because when it comes, it's going to come fast. And if you're not ready, you miss what was meant for you, but not you. You're not going to miss it. You're going to hold on. You're going to keep trusting. You're going to keep building, because you know now delay is not denial. Let me tell you something that will shift how you look at everything you've been through. Your struggles are not random. They're not just bad luck. They're not some cosmic punishment. They are strategic. Every tear, every disappointment, every closed door, every betrayal, it's all been part of a divine strategy to shape you, mold you, and move you. Nothing in your life has been wasted, not one thing. See, we have this idea that struggle means we've done something wrong. That if we were really favored, really called, really chosen, our path would be smooth. But that's not how God operates. God doesn't just use your strengths. He uses your wounds. He uses the places you thought disqualified you to actually qualify you for what he's called you to do. That pain you went through, that season you barely survived, that wasn't a detour, that was the path. Sometimes you look back and wonder, why did I have to go through that? Why did I have to be rejected like that? Why did I have to lose so much? And you don't realize that rejection taught you discernment, that loss taught you gratitude, that heartbreak taught you how to recognize real love when it finally comes. It hurt you, but it helped. It broke you down, but it built you up at the same time. God is not just interested in what you do, he's interested in who you become. And struggle has a way of introducing you to yourself. It shows you what you're made of. It digs past the surface. It peels back the layers and reveals who you are when no one's clapping, who you are when the lights are off. That's the version of you God builds with. You can't learn endurance without resistance. You can't learn faith without a storm. You can't learn grace without failure. So stop thinking that your struggle means you're broken. It means you're in training. You're not cursed. You're not overlooked. You're not abandoned. You're being equipped. And the funny thing is, the very things you've been trying to hide, the very parts of your story you wish you could erase, those are the parts God wants to use. That addiction you overcame, that depression you walked through, that season where you almost gave up, that's where your power is. That's where your testimony is. That's where the anointing comes from. Not in the polish, not in the perfection, in the process. God doesn't waste pain. He recycles it. He turns your worst seasons into your strongest messages. And when you come out of it, when you've survived what should have taken you out, you don't just walk. You walk with authority. You walk with clarity. You walk with compassion. Because now you know what it's like to bleed and still believe, to cry and still keep moving, to be shattered and still stand. And here's the thing. Some of the people who hurt you, some of the situations that tried to bury you, they didn't know they were part of your development. They didn't know that when they left you, they pushed you closer to God. They didn't know that when they talked about you, they actually sharpened you. They meant it for evil, but God turned it. He flipped it. He used it to align you with your purpose. Sometimes the enemy sends something to destroy you, but God uses it to define you. You ever notice how the strongest people aren't the ones who've had it easy? They're the ones who've had to fight for peace. The ones who've cried themselves to sleep and still got up in the morning. The ones who've been through fire and came out without the smell of smoke. That's not by accident. That's strategy. God let you go through it because he knew what was in you. He knew that storm wouldn't drown you. It would deepen you. You thought that struggle was breaking you down, but it was building your backbone, building your boldness, building your voice, because what you've been through gives you authority. When you speak now, you speak from a place of survival. You speak from a place of experience. You don't just quote scripture, you've lived it. You don't just talk about faith, you had to walk it with tears in your eyes and a broken heart in your chest. That's why your story matters. That's why your scars are sacred. Because someone is watching you, someone is listening to you, someone is drawing strength from your survival. They see what you come through and say, if they made it, maybe I can too. And that's why the struggle was never just about you. It was about your assignment. Your struggle was the training ground for your influence. So I want you to stop resenting what you've been through. I want you to stop trying to erase the parts of your life that don't look neat and clean. That mess is part of your message. That chaos is part of your calling. That struggle is part of your strategy. And you may not have chosen it, but God is going to use it. He's going to flip every painful chapter into a page of power. He's going to redeem every dark night into a testimony of light. And when it's all said and done, you'll be able to say, it was good for me that I was afflicted because I found God in the struggle. Nothing you've been through is wasted. There's something I need to speak into the heart of somebody listening right now. And I mean right into the core of who you are. You've been carrying this quiet weight, walking around like you're broken, like you've messed up too bad, like you've missed your chance, like what you've done or what's been done to you has somehow disqualified you from the grace of God. But I came to tell you today, you're not broken. You're under construction. And construction doesn't mean condemnation. You've been too hard on yourself. You've been judging where you are right now as if it's your final destination. But let me tell you something. You are in process. You are being shaped. And when God is building something, it's not always clean, it's not always pretty. When a building is under construction, there's noise, there's mess, there's scaffolding and dust and tools lying everywhere. And from the outside, it doesn't always look like progress, but the builder knows exactly what he's doing. God sees the finished work even while you're still under development. And just because you don't see what he sees yet doesn't mean it's not there. Just because it looks unfinished doesn't mean it's not being handled. You're not falling apart. You're falling into alignment. Every piece, every broken board, every cracked wall, he's reinforcing it, strengthening it, rebuilding it. So stop calling yourself broken when God is still working. Too many of us live under self-condemnation. We look at our flaws and failures and say, I'm not enough. We rehearse every mistake, every regret, every time we fell short, and we use it as evidence to convince ourselves that we're unworthy. But the truth is, what looks like failure to you is often the very thing God is using to bring transformation. Listen to me. God never builds without a blueprint. He's not improvising with your life. He's not winging it. He saw your future long before your past ever happened. He knew the missteps. He knew the moments you'd question everything. He factored in your weakness and still chose you. That means nothing about your story disqualifies you. It only deepens the testimony of what's being built. And just because you're still healing, then you're hopeless. Just because you're not where you want to be doesn't mean God isn't still moving. Some of the most powerful things God does in our lives happen in the in-between, in that space where you feel lost, in that place where you're unsure. That's where he pours in the most grace. That's where he shows up and reminds you, I'm still here. I haven't left you. You're not a lost cause. You're my work in progress. You've been walking around with your head down, thinking the shame you carry is too heavy to lift, thinking the pain you've been through is proof that something's wrong with you. But that pain isn't proof that you're broken. It's proof that you're being built to carry something greater. The deeper the foundation, the higher the structure. And if God is taking his time with you, it's because he's building something that will last. Stop comparing your construction site to someone else's finished building. You don't know what they had to go through. You don't know how long it took, and you don't know what's behind their walls. Focus on your process. Focus on your progress. God is not asking you to be perfect. He's asking you to keep walking, to keep showing up, to keep showing up, to keep believing. Even when the floor is still wet and the windows aren't in yet, there's a grace for unfinished people. There's mercy for those in the middle. Don't let the enemy convince you that where you are right now is who you are. You are not the divorce. You are not the addiction. You are not the failure. You are not the mistake. You are who God says you are. Even if you haven't stepped fully into it yet, you are still chosen. You are still covered. You are still being called into greater. And hear me, when God is building something, he protects the site. That means certain people had to walk away. Certain doors had to close. Certain seasons had to shift. He wasn't punishing you. He was protecting what's being developed. He couldn't let just anybody walk into what he's preparing in you. There are places God isolates you because construction is sacred. He's working in you in ways that eyes haven't seen and ears haven't heard. And when it's time to unveil what he's been building, everybody will know. Everybody will know there was God. So don't quit in the chaos. Don't stop in the silence. Don't give up in the dust. You're not finished. You're not broken. You're just becoming stronger, becoming wiser, becoming clearer, becoming everything God. Saul, when he first laid eyes on you, this is not your downfall, it's your development. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to stay on the path because God's not done with you. He's still hammering, still framing, still fortifying. And when he's through, what he builds in you will be able to withstand anything. You're not broken, you're being built.